Take a couple of deep breaths. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll bring in peace. When I breathe out, I'll bring out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
That truth is larger than any one book or way. We believe that religion and science go hand in hand, that integrity requires freedom of conscience, and that diversity is something to celebrate. In the struggle for justice, we come alive. Our highest aspiration and calling is love. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever path you are on, you are welcome here. And now our chalice will be lit.
In the words of William F. Schultz, this is the mission of faith, to teach the fragile art of hospitality, to revere both the critical mind and the generous heart, to know that diversity need not mean division, and to witness to all that we must hold the whole world in our hands.
Thank you both. Good morning and welcome to West Shore Unitarian Universalist Church. We are so glad that you are here this morning. And welcome to the folks who are joining us for the first time. I invite us all to take a deep breath. A breath of welcome, welcoming yourself, welcoming those around you to this very moment and to this place. And to breathe out a welcome to those around you. We have so many good programs going on. I invite you to check out the West Shore Weekly in your order of service, describing events coming up and how you can get involved. If you're here for the first or second time and you don't mind letting other people know, please raise your hand so we can offer you a special welcome. Thank you. And while our children go to their classes, let's stand up if you're willing and able and greet each other warmly. The greeting time will end with the sounding of the bell. Thank you. Thank you. West Shore UU makes spiritual community possible because of your presence and also shared leadership between members and professional staff. Next, we'll hear a message from the nominating committee, which helps that happen.
Good morning, my friends and beloved community. I'm Margaret Gardner. I've been a member since 2016 here. I've done so many things and worn so many hats, from craft ministry, the choir, the Free Spirit Band, membership committee, cat herding, Sunday hospitality team coordination. I'm here in the office on Wednesday mornings. I've done the service auction, too many things. Today, I'm wearing the hat of nominating committee member, and I'd like to extend a humble but enthusiastic request for your suggestions for candidates to both the Board of Trustees and to the nominating committee for next year. Any current church member is eligible for nomination to either of these committees. The Board of Trustees consists of 9 elected trustees serving terms of 3 years, and each year 3 trustees conclude their term, and we choose 3 new members to fill those vacancies. And among the returning and incoming trustees are appointed the roles of president, vice president, and secretary, the terms for which are 1 year minimum. Some people do 2, I see you. The nominating committee is a 6-member committee serving 2-year terms, and each year 3 members roll out and 3 new ones roll in. So we have 6 spots to fill this year, 3 on each board, or on each committee. So the attributes of a good candidate for the board and nominating committee that we are seeking include clear and reliable communication, a spirit of collaboration, creative thinking, or at least an open mind, following through on responsibilities, and of course, demonstrating your dedication to the community and your activity of attendance and engagement. The nominating committee will take the next several weeks to assess all of our suggestions and ask those candidates that we choose for their agreement to serve if they are elected. And then we will present the final slate of candidates to the congregation to get to know and to begin considering in February or March. Once the candidates are announced, there will be a period of open time for additional candidates to be submitted by petition with signatures from at least 20 members. But if you have anybody in mind, including yourself, for the nominating committee or board of trustees, you can let us know, any member of the nominating committee. Our pictures and names are on a bulletin board in the hall, and in your e-news there has been blurbs with all of our contact information. So any nominating committee member you can suggest your candidates to. We will be electing those at the annual meeting, which is scheduled for Sunday, May 4th. I think that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. One announcement before we move to our offering, which is an announcement about Urban Hope. You might have noticed that there is a table in the rotunda. Jillian Cook is there. If you have brought any items to donate, we're gathering items for the homeless. And so please drop by that table and you can talk about what items are still being required and what would be helpful. And now we will hear from Gloria, who will introduce our speaker today.
Good morning. I'm Gloria Beamer, and this morning I'm representing the Justice and Outreach Council, which is one of the 5 councils of the coordinating team. During the year, each of the councils on the coordinating team get to select a recipient for the outreach offering, a nonprofit group whose work reflects our UU principles. The Justice and Outreach Council has chosen House of Transcendent, and this morning, Jordy Luke is here to tell us a little bit about their work. Please help me welcome Jordy Luke.
Thank you so much, Gloria. And good afternoon, everyone, or good morning still. I'm not a morning person. Thank you all for being here today. It's an honor to share the impactful work of House of Transcendent, also known as HOT, like climate change, where we are creating opportunities and spaces to empower LGBTQI2S+ individuals, especially those at risk of homelessness. Before I continue, I want to share a little about myself. I was born in Mexico and raised in Chile, where my parents served as missionaries. Growing up in the church taught me the importance of community, compassion, and service, values that have shaped my journey today. I'm also a former executive and public servant who worked for 7 years at the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, so public service is also a very important value for me. And I know there's a lot of anxiety right now about, the impact, the future for vulnerable populations, so thinking a lot about that. My time there deepened my commitment to addressing the social drivers of health and fostering equity in our communities. I really want to thank you all for selecting House of Transcendent to receive the outreach offering this November. Your generosity will directly support our efforts to prevent homelessness amongst transgender people, LGBTQI migrants, and individuals with disabilities. Your partnership means the world to us, and we're deeply grateful for that. Since I last spoke here, I was here for a movie night. I wanted to share that we received a grant for a building that we're renovating on the east side that will create affordable rooms for the vulnerable populations that we serve. Thanks to the SHLF Foundation and also the Milton and Tamar Maltz Family Foundation, we've raised $850,000 for this project. But our work's just getting started. It's a big building, so we still need more funds to complete this project, and anything you give will go towards that project. Beyond housing, we also provide laptops for trans people because we know that technology enables education, employment, and healthcare. We're also committed to improving language access for Spanish-speaking and Arabic-speaking communities. We're in the process of building a healthcare directory that highlights the different clinics that accept Medicaid and provide sliding fee scale in the Cleveland and greater Cuyahoga County community. Our translations are created by LGBT native speakers to ensure that the translation is culturally competent, because AI is not so culturally competent. Additionally, we recently partnered with the LGBT Center Nueva Luz to host a community building potluck to connect migrants with vital resources to make them aware of the different programs that are out there. So thank you again for creating this space, and as we accept a gift from you, I'd also like to extend a gift to you. As someone who worked a lot in the Medicare space, we're in open enrollment right now, so you're probably in the process of selecting a Medicare plan or insurance. So if you have any questions, just I'll stay after service to, if you want to ask questions about House of Transcendent or about insurance, I'm happy to answer any questions. That insurance is what brought me to this work, because we know that it's very important to have healthcare access and that there are disparities. So I really appreciate the work of you and making equity a pillar of all your work. Thank you so much for your time.
So all of the donations in the offering plate will be given to House of Transcendent. If you're making a pledge payment, please use the white envelope, and the offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Thank you, Gloria.
Good morning. I want to start out by saying that I am a same-seater. I come into the church, I sit in the same seat. I do that with everything. I sit at the same seat at the dinner table, Thanksgiving table, even at work. Everybody knows that's my seat. And why I do it, perhaps some of you are same-seaters. Why I do it, I don't know. I think it's maybe comfort, because along the wall is the heat, and I'm usually cold. Maybe it's security, and knowing that I can get to that coffee pot as soon as possible. Or maybe I just don't have to make another choice in life. I just walk in and go to my same seat. Having said that, I see all of you from behind. And this is the first time I've really seen everyone as a community, including the choir, from the front. I got a new worldview. Phoenix and I have something in common. She is first time up here as well as I am, so make sure you give her a shout out today how well she did. I only hope I can do as well. But I'd like to start out by reading a story about Parsifal. Perhaps you've heard of him. He was a popular knight in the court of King Arthur. He was out on a quest and found himself riding for days through a strange region, a wasteland where nothing grew. There he is right up there. Searching for food and shelter, he came to a lake where he saw two figures fishing from a boat. One of them was dressed in regal garments. He called out to him, "Hey, where can I find lodging?" The regally dressed, who was the Fisher King, invited him to stay at his castle nearby and gave him directions. Before long, Parsifal found himself at the great castle of the Fisher King. Parsifal was escorted to the hall where a ceremonial banquet was underway. There, on a kind of hammock-type bed, lay a king who appeared to be in great suffering from a wound. The king was a victim of a spell that had stopped the wound from healing. The spell had taken from the ruler and his lands the power of regeneration. Yet as the evening wore on, no one in the court made mention of the horror they faced. It was known to them, however, that the spell could be broken if and when a knight appeared and asked the king one compassionate question. But Parsifal had been brought up to believe that it was rude, even out of order, to ask a question of people in authority. So even though he approached the king to greet him and could smell the stench of his wound, he acted as if nothing was wrong. Now this is out of context, but I kind of know where Parsifal was coming from. He was probably thinking, I'm going to eat this great food, drink this great wine, sleep in this great bed, stay away from the stinky king. In the morning, I'm going to thank all these great people, and I'm hasta la taco, I'm out of here, homie. But in the morning, Parsifal woke to find the king and the entire castle had disappeared, like into the wind, like gone. Setting off, he finally found his way back to the King Arthur's court. A feast was held for the much-admired knight. The celebration, however, was interrupted by a dramatic entrance of a hideous but wise witch called Kundry. She publicly scolded Parsifal because he lacked his compassion and he didn't even ask about the king and his suffering people. She said, "You call yourself a knight," Kundry cried out. "Look at you. You don't even have the guts to ask them what was going on." Haunted by Kundry's accusations and his own feelings of failure, Parsifal fell into a deep, deep depression and realized that he had to return to the court of the Fisher King. It took many years to find the mysterious castle again, and when he did find it, he found that the king was in even greater suffering. This time Parsifal strode right up to the king, knelt before him, and said, "My lord, what ails thee?" That Parsifal cared enough to ask that question had immediate and powerful effect. The color returned to the cheeks of the king. He rose from the couch. His health was regained. In the same moment, the wasteland began once again to bloom, and the spell was broken. Chapter 4 in our book, Act of Hope, by Joanna Macy and Chris Johnson, sees the anguish in our world as a point of inspiration. They draw parallels between our health and the health of our world. One of these parallels is blocked responses. Now, I have my own little story. It's not as dramatic, no castles, no banquets, no wine, but it is kind of my story, so I'll just bear with me a few minutes. I recently attended a meeting on recycling. Now, I believe in recycling. I do curbside recycling. If I'm somewhere and I want to throw something away and I know it's recyclable, I look for the blue bins. I'm careful about it. I think I know what I'm doing with it. And so I thought, boy, this is going to be a great meeting. It's going to be short, to the point, get the receptacles recycled. Well, it got very complicated and very laborious. And I, like Parsifal, just wanted to get out of there. Have you ever felt that way in a meeting? I'm not into it. I know my dog ain't in this fight. I don't want to do it. And then I would hear my dad say things like, cut your stress by cutting your conflict. Don't poke the tiger with a stick. Remember, silence is an answer. Why don't you try it? I hear all those things. But according to Act of Hope, this is called a blocked response. I was operating out of business as usual. I was between two realities. I understand the importance of recycling, and what do I do with that problem? I just have blocked it. But according to Vietnamese Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh, it is to hear within us the sound of the earth crying. Pain for the earth tells us about our interconnectedness. Interconnectedness acts like roots that open us up to strength, to resilience. So the end result is that acting for the earth didn't feel so difficult. It felt like the right thing to do, and it changed my worldview. Yes, I'm still a member of that group, and yes, I am going to persist, and my dog really is in this fight. And I hear the earth crying, and my worldviews have changed so much. I'm strong and I'm resilient. So I'm going to ask you this week sometime, when you are quiet, maybe before you go to bed, after you turn off all your tech devices and your TV and everything else, watch the Cavs game, but after that, turn it all off. Just listen. Just be still and be quiet and listen, and see if you hear the crying of our blue boat home. And remember, you are rooted, you are grounded, you are interconnected, you are strong, you are resilient, and you are compassionate. May it be so.
Please rise in body or spirit and sing along with the anthem. In some ways, our service today is a continuation of active hope, a theme that Reverend Anthony and I invite you to explore with us that started in September and will carry through May. Building our capacities to be aware and responsive to the crises and opportunities of our time, especially as concerns the environment. At the same time, we are in a different reality today than we were last month when we explored rooting climate justice work in gratitude. Today, we meet in a country that elected a president who models power over, using fascist rhetoric and weakening the structures of government. Active hope starts with awareness of what we're facing. The election is a wake-up call. Our authors named two stories that Americans get stuck in: business as usual and the great unraveling. No one has woven together what happened on Election Day into an understandable story. I see pain in people who are already overwhelmed and feel excluded. I see anger and denial of problems facing our planet and our democracy, looking through the lens of business as usual, needing to believe that things are and will be fine, with business in charge and the new president modeling power over, the biggest bully on the playground. Denial eventually leads to the great unraveling, where people get stuck in despair, assuming we're powerless, they're powerless to take action and to find new ways. Last month, we started with the spiral of active hope rooted in gratitude, a spiritual practice and superpower to face the truth and its challenges together. Power over The anti-democracy movement relies on fear. When we're afraid, we lose access to our own deepest inner wisdom and guidance and to our collective wisdom. Instead, we fixate on someone to save us. We fall prey to predators. We learned that being rooted in gratitude moves our limbic systems from fear to regulation, and then on to the ability to respond with intention. We spoke about gratitude practice as pausing, breathing in peace, breathing out peace, breathing in moments of kindness and grace, life's resilience all around us and within us, instead of staying trapped in conspiracy theories fueled by fear that serves the greed for power over in others. Today, we explore the next stage of the spiral, honoring the pain of the world. That sounds enormous. Where do you start in honoring the pain of the world? It starts with feeling our own feelings. Now, this may sound scary and downright weird, but like gratitude, it touches and activates our hearts, our love for life, our interdependence or interbeing, which transforms fear and grief into motivation, allowing us to remember who we are and see beyond business as usual, see beyond hyper-individualism, and see beyond the great unraveling. Feeling, not fleeing from our feelings, naming them, being present to one another's feelings, breaks through the spell we are under individually and collectively, like Parsifal and the Fisher King. Parsifal saw and knew there was something very wrong, but his upbringing, like my upbringing, stopped him from saying anything rude, blocking his heart's response to the suffering in front of him and all around him. How might we be blocking our heart's response? Active Hope describes 7 different ways we may experience our own blocked responses to difficult feelings and see blocked responses in others. The first one is, oh, I don't believe it's that dangerous. I'm not going to worry about that. The second one, it isn't my role to sort it out. Number 3, I don't want to stand out from the crowd. Nobody else is sorting it out. Number 4, this information threatens my commercial or political interests. Number 5, it's so upsetting that I prefer not to think about it. Number 6, I feel paralyzed. I'm aware of the danger, but I don't know what to do. And number 7, there's no point doing anything since it won't make any difference. Betsy shared her blocked response when the recycling group got bogged down. Her inner response was to withdraw. It isn't my role to sort this out. And she called herself on it and admitted to herself that she is in that fight for the long term. When we look at this list, we see both stories at work. Business as usual in the first 4, and the great unraveling in the last three phrases. It's unsettling to catch ourselves embodying both of these stories of powerlessness. And it can serve as a bridge of compassion for others who may not have a community around them to help them move beyond their block. Each of the 7 blocked responses is there in order to hide from difficult feelings, fear or anger, vulnerability, feeling like you don't belong or may not belong, grief or bitterness, blame or shame. Our challenge and our intention is becoming more aware of our feelings so that we may open to the pain of the world and participate in the great turning. This calls for a profound cultural shift. Cultural norms are so powerful. We need to be aware of them in order to change them and in order to change ourselves. In general, we all know that Western culture teaches us not to show fear or vulnerability, even to ourselves. It normalizes anger for men and sadness for women. Our families may reflect different cultures with unwritten yet relentless norms about feelings. For example, my mother's Norwegian family expects stoicism, a strong, silent approach to suffering, willful and prideful denial. My father's Georgian family normalizes explosive anger. The one cannot fathom the other, and both deny fear. I wonder what norms about feelings were or are being practiced in your families today. In our collective human family, we see abuses of power preying upon victims, causing great pain that must be seen, felt, and the abusers held accountable. In the last 20 years, American culture has slowly started teaching children that feelings are there to get our attention, to show us what we need to do in order to respond to changing situations. My grandchildren are learning to feel their feelings, to name them, not to judge them, not to be controlled by them. It's huge to make a cultural shift like this. It asks each one of us to disrupt patterns and emotional habits that literally shaped our brains, our sense of self, our relationships. The good news is that we can do it. We can become aware of our feelings, and it takes time and practice and self-kindness. Mindfulness and body-based practices help, and we have many opportunities to get involved with those here at West Shore. It's liberating to become aware of our feelings and not afraid or controlled by them. It helps us become resilient and courageous partners in active hope. Since the election, we've witnessed and experienced a vastly different world of feelings. Whether or not you were swept up in the election, we are all surrounded and penetrated by the collective emotional fields of our society. We are all riding the waves, responding in different ways. There's a big difference between our individual feelings and our collective feelings, which is to say, the pain and suffering of the world. Individual feelings are there so that we can take action, make different choices. But what about the collective pain and suffering in the world? How do we experience it? How do we wrap our minds around that? And what are we supposed to do? In June of 2020, in the middle of the night, I was awoken by waves of grief. I got out of bed, overwhelmed, gripped by anxiety and despair. I walked in the dark around and around our dining room table, wondering what was going on. No one close to me was dying or had just died. This was different. Fear rose up in me, asking, what is this I'm feeling? My question was answered in the next breath. I was engulfed in the grief of the world. I breathed it through every pore of my being, into every cell in my body. I got really scared and asked, what am I supposed to do with this? Instantly and kindly, an answer came. You're already doing it. Let it in. Feel it awaken your heart. Bear witness to the suffering with compassion, with kindness. Joanna and Chris, the authors of Active Hope, remind us that pain for the world is normal, healthy, and widespread. They ask, how would we notice when we stray off course as a society? We would start to feel uncomfortable. If we were heading in a dangerous direction, we might feel alarmed. If something unacceptable was taking place, we might feel outraged. If parts of our world that we loved were dying, we would expect to grieve. These feelings are normal, healthy responses. They help us notice what's going on. They rouse us to respond. Feeling and honoring the pain of the world is a tall order. The good news is that we're not trying to do this just as isolated individuals. We come here to spiritual community to support each other in becoming more and more skillful in feeling our feelings. There is nothing more powerful than being witnessed, welcomed, seen in our wholeness like the Fisher King, especially when we're leaning into scary feelings and realities. This community we create together prepares us to open our hearts to the pain of the world. The tasks of Active Hope are the tasks of spiritual community. May we all become intentional in feeling our feelings with kindness, in bearing witness to each other's feelings also with kindness, and from this opening to welcome the feelings of the world, the pain and suffering and the joy, remembering that our job is to bear witness and to do what we can do in our own lives. We're not responsible for the whole shebang. Allowing it, inviting it to open our hearts again and again, supporting us in resilience, empowering us to participate in the great turning and to lead from love. We end our service today with our Joys and Sorrows ritual, for all that is our life. I invite you to consider where you are in this new world, to share your feelings if you choose on a yellow card, and if you have a pastoral need, to share that as well. And now we will sing for all that is our life. And those who choose, please come forward. These are the joys and sorrows of our hearts. I encourage everyone to notice all of the stones in the dish this morning and to look around the room, recognizing that there are an abundance of joys and sorrows in every single person who has gathered here today. And also looking around this room, knowing that you are not alone. We are not alone. We will hold these in our hearts, and I will share the cards with our pastoral care team. Thank you so much.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry with us until we meet again.
And this benediction. With gratitude for life's constantly changing beauty and resilience, reminding us that we too are evolving. May we share the intention to feel it all, the scary feelings and the beautiful, our love for life, our love for the planet, crying through us. Moment by moment, may we choose again and again the new story, the great turning, life's unfolding adventure, dreaming us and calling us, moving us and blessing us, singing the future through us, the voices of the One.